Hello friends, in this video I will teach you how to dismantle, clean and reinstall a bottle trap or any other kind of trap. I will also show you how to avoid leaks, clogging and damaging your drains. You will learn to identify the different parts of a trap, how it works, what it's used for and how to level and seal a trap. I'll show you major mishaps and mistakes and how to avoid them. If you follow these instructions, you should be able to manage a drain trap like a professional plumber, or better still, you will be able to guarantee long-term performance. I have designed this video as a course, divided in 4 lessons. You can watch the full video or come back later and watch the other lessons. I will be leaving in the description below the timing for each lesson, so you can find it and choose as you wish. Come on, let's go to lesson 1. In the following image, you see different kinds of traps used in bathrooms and kitchens. As their name goes, their main function is trapping large objects and heavy particles and stopping these from obstructing our drains in inaccessible places. Their main function is preventing sewer gases from coming into the house. These traps do not retain fats, oils, grease, and froth. They are not grease traps like the one in the image. This design collects all floating elements and heavy particles and lets through dissolved materials which don't clog up the drains. This kind of traps is used in restaurants or where foods are prepared commercially. In the other traps, fats, oils, grease and froth accumulate along the drain pipe as they cool down, solidify and leak together. As you can see in the following image, anything that floats does not get caught in the trap and is dragged down the drain. Why should we clean the trap? Precisely because the bottle trap, P-trap and S-trap accumulate particles in the bowl, they can end up clogging up the trap. Additionally, as they don't retain fats and these leak together, this can clog up your drains past the trap. So not only should we clean the trap, but also our drains, removing as much solids as possible. Now that we know all that, we must dismantle our bottle trap and clear any residues we find inside it. If you prefer to throw the old bottle trap away and install a new one, to avoid all the muck inside and you cleaning it, it's just too bad, because you still have to clean the drains with all the grease and oil in there. This means that this is a job where you can't avoid bad smells and handling muck. However, for this course, I suggest you go through the whole process. That is, don't buy a new trap, clean the old one. And if you insist, you can use some thin gloves to protect your hands, and if you want, you can use a mask for the smells. If you find something like this under your sink, most probably you'll have to buy and install a new trap. If you find something like this under your sink, just call a professional plumber. Don't touch anything. These are the names of different parts of a bottle trap. A P-trap and S-trap are very similar, except that they don't have a bowl. Instead, they have a clean-out plug. Remember these names because I will be using them in lesson 2. Let's start dismantling the trap. We will start by placing a plastic vessel
below the trap to capture any water leak. A 5 or 10 litre vessel is enough. We must understand that in an operating trap we have water up to this level. So if I take out the bowl, all this water will fall in there. Now, I prefer to take out the whole trap and dismantle it inside this vessel. The first thing I do is unscrew the sink's tailpiece nut. In this case, as I have two sinks connected together, I'm going to have to do the same
on the other. There.
Now, then I follow on with the second slip nut. And the other slip nut. Now that gives me movement, and I can dislodge it easily. I leave the trap inside my vessel, plus all the other parts. As you can see there's lots of material, grease and oils and inside the tubing. You have to get that out also.
With this procedure, I have the least possible amount of water falling outside of my vessel onto the sink's cabinet. The worst thing we can have is damaging the cabinet and having to clean up there, etc. Now, I dismantle these parts, I turn it upside down, I dismantle this part, and there we have to clean all that out.
We can use a long knife, and then these parts I'm going to clean them in the bathroom and throwing down all that muck down the toilet. The same with this one. We try to take out as much as possible here. Okay. Look at that. All that to go.
Now, in all these nuts, we have a rubber seal, a washer. We must be careful not to lose them and have a look at them and see what condition they are in case we have to change them. Now all these things, I'm going to take them now to the toilet to rinse them and throw away all this thing down, flush it down the toilet. The solids, the really big solids, these, we can separate the water from the solids, throw the water down the toilet, and the solids must go
in our kitchen waste. As I said before, we also have to clean up this. Now if we have it just connected like that, we can take it out, clean the interior away from the tubing. It's much easier to manipulate. and then we give it a good rinse in the toilet. All the rest is fixed there. There's no way of getting it out. Try and take as much off as we can. Someday we'll have to clean it, the rest of the tubing, by other means. There we are. That's it.
What we have here is a mixture of grey waters and solid residues. We don't want to throw all that down the toilet, so I'll show you how I do it. Separate the water, the liquid, from the solids. Imagine this is the toilet. We go along with a vessel there and we throw down all the liquid carefully so no big solids go down there. We don't want to clog up our toilet. Now, when most liquid has disappeared, has been passed into this other vessel, then this will throw it into our kitchen waste. Put it in a bag and get rid of it like that. And this is just liquid. We can throw it down our toilet. Now, I finished cleaning up the different parts. If you want, you can leave it soaking in a detergent to get it even cleaner, but it really isn't necessary. It'll gain oils and grease and fats and so on. Okay, now is the time to reinstall our bottle trap. But before installing, I'm going to go through all those main mistakes people make when installing a bottle trap. As you know, the grey waters in our pipes are drained out thanks to gravity. The only force involved here comes from the height of the water in our sink and the difference with the outlet of our drains. So,
when one is working with long lengths of piping, there is a standard slope we must respect for the drains to work correctly. In short lengths like these, we must ensure our horizontal pipes must stand somewhere between completely level and slightly lower at the end and higher at the beginning.
If the piping goes upwards, our drains won't work properly and will get clogged up much faster. If some of these pipes aren't perfectly straight and horizontal, you might have problems connecting your trap to the sink. The trap must be perfectly vertical with the level with the sink, and usually this pipe should be completely horizontal. If your installer did a curve here, some change in the level, you will have to be careful in putting it back in that same position. Otherwise, you won't be able to. Okay? If needed, if you have to change the level of your pipes, you can heat it up around here. For example, this distance, 10 centimeters of pipe, you can heat it up, and that makes it soft, and you can bend it a little bit. But the idea is to leave it as it was.
All this piping from the floor or from the wall up to the sink outlet has different sealing means. In some cases, the pipes must be soldered with adhesive, like there and below the cabinet. All sections there are fixed. They can't be moved. In other cases, we seal the pipes using a 30-40 or 40-50 rubber pipe adapter, or we use silicone, like one could use here, for example. The advantage of silicone is it supplies a very good seal and can be removed and replaced very easily. The bottle trap itself has 3 different types of rubber washers, and these types must be respected. The bottle trap is connected to the sink drain using a flat washer. You shouldn't use a cone washer or an O-ring here. The tail piece is connected to the bottle using a cone washer. This is the cone washer. You can use an O-ring here, but it has to be the perfect size O-ring or you'll get a fail. It is not recommended. Finally, these bottles that have a bow screwed onto the body of the bottle, like this one, have a big flat washer sealing that part. This washer is completely flat, is very thin, and is quite difficult to place in the bowl. Now be careful, make sure it's perfectly flat in there.
When these washers are failing due to age or they're being badly installed, many plumbers are tempted to use PTFE tape to cover the thread of the nuts and in that way seal these connections. But the problem is that PTFE tape on this thread puts stress on the plastic and might eventually ruin it. Having PTFE tape doesn't help to put on the nut correctly on its thread. You might have the nut going into the thread in a bad angle and you'll ruin the thread. Additionally, it puts stress on the thread, on the plastic, and it might even break it. So no, PTFE tape isn't appropriate there. If you have a very old washer, change it, buy a new one, put on a new washer there.
Or if you prefer, put on a new trap. But putting PTFE tape there is an ugly and bad solution.
So, to avoid these problems when installing the washers, make sure they're properly placed in their seat. The flat washers at the bottom of their placement, perfectly flat, with no bends. You must be especially careful with the bowl washer, because as it's so thin and big, it can easily get out of place.
With regard to the cone washer, first of all, you place them on the male tube and carefully push the male tube into the female part, making sure that the rubber washer is evenly placed in the female tube. Once you have that there, then you bring the nut and you carefully turn the thread. If you push in one side more than the other like this, you can make the nut screw in crooked, burning the thread and causing a leak. This will be our next topic.
The nuts on a plastic trap are very delicate and only should be tightened by hand. If you use a tool, there is a risk of breaking the plastic or ruining the thread. The first turns of the nut must go very smoothly, very easily. If you feel the slightest difficulty, stop and unscrew it. Sometimes it's not easy to find the right point where both threads start connecting. The trick is to start by turning the nut anti-clockwise, this way, till the nut falls in place and you feel a click. Then you start turning. clockwise. With a new bottle, this is quite straightforward, but with old, used bottles, bits of PTF tape or the rubber washer can make this difficult.
Now that we've seen all the mistakes we can make, let's install our bottle trap. First of all, put back all pipes where they were and verify their correct positions. The correct slopes, all connections fall in place without any stress or forcing anything, and without tightening the nuts yet. We first put the outlet tail piece into the drains. We lower the sink's tail piece, place it under the sink's drain, and screw the nut into it.
And we tighten the nuts up to a point where it doesn't move, where the trap doesn't move easily, as if it was already, the job was already finished. Now, if we have to solder any connections with PVC adhesive or using silicone, this is the moment we have to mark those connections. We have to mark in what position they will end up in the end. We do this by sandpapering the connections and marking them with a pencil.
With sandpaper then this connection, I'm going to put a bit of silicone here. I sandpaper the PVC because pencil doesn't write well on this plastic. Sandpaper there, a sandpaper there. And then I mark these positions. That's the final position. This elbow, it has to be in that position. Okay? So now we take everything out again. And we put our silicone. There we are. We put it there. Then we turn it, leave it where the marks are. If it was adhesive, it would dry immediately and stick there and we wouldn't be able to move it. And it's silicone, it lets me do some movements.
Once we apply the adhesive or the silicone, now's the moment to tighten the nuts as much as possible. We mustn't over tighten them, only by hand and a point where we feel it's enough. All the nuts must be tightened, we mustn't forget any of them. Now, once the adhesive or silicone has cured, then we can test for any leaks. We have to wait for silicone, we have to wait about 10-20 minutes and we can test it. If we find a leak, we must tighten the nuts a bit more with our hands till it stops. We can use a tool to tighten it a bit more, but be very careful not to break the nut. If there keeps on being a leak despite having tightened it as much as possible, then the best thing would be to change the washers or change the trap for a new one.
The best tool for this is one that doesn't warp the plastic, but just pushes in a circular motion. Not a Stilson, not a vice grip, not a power grip, not a footprint pipe wrench. You can use an adjustable wrench like this one, a bit bigger though, that fits the nut, or an alligator plow, as long as it doesn't squash the nut. In this case, this alligator plow is too small. You shouldn't open it because that will squash the nut. You have to use it in the biggest position.
If we find no leaks, now we test the trap, filling the bowl with water. If we have two bowls, we fill both bowls with water and pour that water down the drains. Make sure there's no leak anywhere. Once passed, we can rest assured that our trap has been well installed and we have done a good job.
All other residential traps, lavatory traps, P-trap or bottle trap, shower traps and bath traps, although different in their design, have the same components, washers and function, so can be installed and repaired following these same instructions. Toilets don't require installing a trap because they are built with an internal trap, as the image shows. Although the piping under the floor can have a P-trap which withholds gases and bad smells when removing the toilet, or if the floor seal fails. In many cases, bathtubs and showers are installed into a pipe connected to a structural trap built into the pipes under the floor. So adding an external trap is unnecessary, although it might be useful for capturing solids that may block the structural trap if the drain doesn't have a metal basket to filter things out and there is enough space to house a trap. It is not uncommon that people drop shampoo caps into the tub, which then get trapped in the drains or in the structural trap. Getting things out of a trap can be a very expensive job.
One of the main issues we can have with our bathtub drains and shower drains is hairs. Hairs can bind together, they can bind with bits of soap, shampoo, body fluids, etc., forming balls that simply are impossible to get out of the drain. That's why having a trap, a good trap after our shower drain or tub drain, is a very important feature. However, in many shower drains like this one, we have the problem that the trap is inaccessible from below because there's no space there to work. So our only option is a trap that can be cleaned from above. In these lessons, I've given you a detailed description of different traps, how they are built, how they work, and how to fix them, and especially how to install them so they work properly. And you can guarantee a long and useful life for your traps, both to avoid sewer gases from entering your home and avoid your drains from clogging up in the short term. Thanks for following this course and watching the different lessons. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it, and don't forget to click the bell, of course. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.